The first building block of the conversation is understanding just how powerful the individual with a big idea is. It's that combination, sometimes says, that really moves history. There is something more important, and that's when we all work together. So Ashoka has 3,000 leading social entrepreneurs. You've heard 5 or 6 stories here. And you've seen those statistics. Over half have changed national policy in 5 years. That allows us to see patterns. You have 700 out of the 3,000 who are working with children and young people, for example. Each of those ideas has worked, and in every imaginable society in every continent, you have to be very observant not to see patterns. And out of that learning, there's a very big pattern. And so I think we're just about to go over the tipping process of something that's been building up for 300 years. Every country, every city, every company, every family has got to make some very major choices right now. The underlying fact is that the rate of change is escalating. This is mathematically true, still exponential. And that rate of change has been accelerating now for quite a few hundred years, 300, 400. And we're reaching the point now that we're leaving a world that was defined by repetition, and we're well on our way to being in a world that's defined by change, where everything is changing, and every change bumps the things around it and causes them to change. There's another fact, and that is that the rate at which the number of people causing change is increasing is also exponential. And the same thing is true for the number and extent of the combinations of people causing change. But those are facts. You use some statistics about the growth of the citizen sector. That's part of the facts. Brazil went from 5,000 citizen groups in 1980. By 2000, it was well over 1 million. And the statistics are like that virtually everywhere. Burma doesn't allow it. Let's see what happens now. But that hasn't stopped India and Bangladeshi and Thai Ashoka fellows working in Burma. So even in Burma, this historical force is at work. Let me try to draw out some of the implications. And these implications affect every child, every parent, every company, every community, every country. Because this is one of those very rare, very profound changes. This is much more profound than a technological revolution, like the chemical or even the digital revolution. It's a change in how humans work together, and that changes everything in very profound ways. So a world of repetition was very coherent. If you ran a company or any other institution, your clients wanted you to keep doing the same thing because they were doing the same thing over and over. But in this world, everything around you is changing. There is no repetition going on. There are change processes, not one. It's not just the chemical revolution coming at you and everything else is stable. But they're all around you, these change processes. And for you to provide value, you've got to contribute to the change process. And by the very nature of that fact, your client, the change process, it's constantly changing. You have to keep changing. And so we've had a world of institutions. We still have that in our heads. A few people who may or may not think that they tell everyone else what to do, which is okay because you're telling them to do the same thing forever. And walls. There's nothing that's changed, so you can have walls. Well, that doesn't work in this world. It can't work. The walls make it impossible for the fluid team of teams, which is the world we're already in part, to work together. When you have something that's changing or trying to serve it, you have to put together a different team all the time, and it's increasingly a global team. You know, let me see if I can give you a sense of why we're convinced this is the tipping point right now. First of all, it's been building up for a long time. From Rome to 1700 in the West, there was no growth at all in the per capita income. It went up and down with weather cycles. Then something happened around 1700. And in the next 3 centuries, it went up 20, 200, and 740%. And we think what happened was at 1700, business did something very radical. It said, anybody who's got a better idea, if you implement it, we're going to make you rich and happy, and we're going to copy it. And that started spreading. And that has been what's been driving history for the last 3 centuries. We wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be in this building. None of this stuff would have happened if it weren't for that. You know, that started in Northern Europe, but now it's global. And so the fact that it's global, the fact that all of us are facing competition from South Africa and China and Poland and whatnot, that wasn't there not so long ago. The statistics I was giving you about the spread into the citizen sector, that's new. That's only the last 30 years. We set up Ashoka 30 years ago because we saw the historical moment was going to be there. I can explain why the citizen half of the world fell behind, but it did. And for the last 3 decades, this half of the world has been catching up with business in terms of productivity, scale, and now globalization. And these statistics, you know, the work you're seeing here, this is about the emergence of the citizen sector. And look at the competence of these 2 organizations. These organizations can compete with any business. This is new. So that's you know, when this second half of the world joins the revolution, it's going on all over the world. The curves are going up exponentially. And the final evidence is the new world is already here. If you look at Bangalore or Silicon Valley, this is not your traditional bunch of institutions. It's a very fluid team of teams, and they've invented the World Wide Web so that you can have all these teams working together. And I'll just give you one example, which I'm still amazed about, actually. Procter & Gamble used to be known as the Kremlin on the Ohio because they did everything themselves. They invented their new soaps and whatever it was. But they've given up on that because they realized that if they kept with that model, they're going to be out of business because their competitors are going to be open to this global team of teams. So now, Procter & Gamble has actually invested in the Ashoka model in India, which will spread quickly to the Philippines, Brazil, and elsewhere over the next year or so. So a completely different way of doing healthcare. It's a business-social combination. And why are they doing this? Because they think we have a model that is going to be the source of their future. So Ashoka is suddenly a part of the product development work of Procter & Gamble. Who would have ever imagined? We certainly didn't, but it's already happening. This team of teams is here, but it's still not in our heads. Once people see it, and they begin to understand the implications, it's very profound what's going to happen. And this is a major challenge for every country, whether it's the United States or Turkey or India or South Africa. Any country that doesn't make this transition is going to be left behind. And we don't have 50 years because the nature of the curve is exponential. It took 50 years for Detroit to die. Remember, Detroit used to be the top of our technology, and people were very proud there. They just lost 25% of their population in the last 10 years. Well, that can happen to America or anywhere else that falls behind. Now, what are the changes that are needed? And this is where this community of fellows, these leading social entrepreneurs, are so important for us to understand that we know what to do. There are 2 big things that have to change. One is all of us humans have a different set of skills. And second, we have to build a team of teams to replace the institutions. We have to organize differently, we have to lead differently. I.e., everything about our life has to change. I'll give you one concrete example on the skills side, and then I think you'll get a sense of how powerful this is. As you go up that rate of curve, that exponential curve of change, one of the things that happens is that the rules cover less and less of human life because they haven't been invented, they're in conflict, you're having to deal with all these strange people and this really team of teams you didn't have to deal with before. So if you are not really good at the skill of empathy, you're gone. And no one cares how much computer science or other knowledge you have. You are gone because you'll hurt people, you're going to disrupt institutions, and that's it. And if you come to a group that just didn't give you those skills because your parents didn't have it, your neighbors didn't have it, it wasn't in the streets, and schools have no idea that this is important, they're not even talking about it, then your whole group is in trouble. Well, we have that. In Washington, 24% of the African-American young males spend a portion of their year in jail. This is a culture that isn't working. You know, we have fellows, the 700 fellows, we know exactly how to solve this. You give us a child from any community where it does not have the skill, in 20 to 30 hours they'll grasp it, we know how to have them practice at recess, in the classroom, how to work with parents, how to work with 5th through 8th grade girls who tend to lose their confidence. You get the mean girl syndrome, well, that's not the empathetic girl syndrome. So we know what to do, but the challenge now is how do we help people see it? How do we help Turkey, America, the world get over this awareness tipping process? If you have a 6-year-old you care about, it's not enough when she hits her younger brother for you to say you've broken the rules, you're going to go and sit in the corner as a punishment. It's really important for you to say, well, how do you think your brother felt when you did that? Now, any parent, once they understand that that is completely critical for their daughter, they're going to do that. But they don't understand that now because no one's talking about it. How many elementary school principals know this is critical? How many even think of it? They don't, because the paradigm we have today is learn knowledge and rules. For a static world, that's okay. You learn a set of rules, and you just repeat it for your life, and you're in some stable institution which is structured for you to do that. That doesn't work anymore. You have to have this skill. You can't do teamwork, leadership, change-making, which is what this new world requires if you don't have this skill. Now, we can, in the next 5 to 6 years, by working together, we can take this. And we, as the Ashoka community, is setting out to do that. I'll just give you a quick sense of how we think we can do it. We're starting, so we'll learn. We're starting this in the U.S. and Brazil and India and a few other places right now. There are 90,000 schools here in the U.S. If we can get 60 of them who have a history of causing change, you get a leadership group in that school. Now, we're not telling them what to do. They are a team. We're setting up a team of teams. We want 60 teams that are on fire because they want to make sure that all their children master empathy and are practicing it, and then they get to help the rest of the country and the world. That's very exciting for a group of people. And there are plenty of people now who can do this because of where we are in the human growth curve. Then you need the writers, the publishers, 30 or so people. David Brooks, Tom Wicker, et cetera, et cetera. I just had a wonderful meeting with the entrepreneur who's created the leading business publications in Hindi. Totally got it like this because he's an entrepreneur. So he's going to be on it. And then the committee, if we've got 6 of the fellows, Canada, US, Mexico, they're leading the fellows. You put those 3 things together, what we hope will happen is that over the next couple of years we get 50 of the schools to succeed out of the 60. Then you bring the writers and the publishers and universities together, and they feed one another. You get the first 4 of these people to start writing, and then parents start going to the schools and saying, how good are you at empathy? some schools say we're very good at empathy, and other boards of directors may say, well, why isn't this something that our principal has thought about? The point is to tip the framework of thinking. Now, this is a whole new dimension for Ashoka. We're learning how to do this. This is different, but it builds on, it reinforces, it depends on us having a community of leading social entrepreneurs working together. If we're going to tip the world, we have to tip it in all the key parts of the world, not just in one country or two countries. So this is an incredible moment of history that we're in. I believe people are going to understand it over the next couple of years. But then, and this is we really need everyone's help here. Everyone here can make a contribution to this. Give yourself permission to figure out how you can help other people see it. That's the hardest thing to do right now. It's actually very easy. And then if you've got a 6-year-old you care about, you don't know what to do. If you've got a 15-year-old, I love what you're doing because it's exactly what's needed. I mean, how do you learn to master empathy, teamwork, leadership, change-making if you don't do it? You can't read a book about it. And this is the ultimate bicycle ride. You have to do it. Well, we make it really difficult for most teenagers to do this. But not for the best elite schools. If you go to Andover here, there's a student organization for every 9 students. The students are totally in charge. Well, surprise, those people come out of that school knowing they have these skills because they do. Well, we need to have every youth culture in every school have that. We need to, again, change the framework of thinking. And so your work is just so important as a model of how to do this. So we're at this extraordinary moment, and Turkey, I just want to add on a finish on a personal note. I was first in Turkey at 19. I love the country. It's been one of my, Oxford is not like American universities. They have 8 weeks on and 6 weeks off. So the 6 weeks off part, I spent 6 weeks in Turkey. As you know, it's one of the most open people, curious, real conversation. It's a wonderful place. So I'm so thrilled that we're getting Turkey up and running here. Its potential leadership role is very great. I'm much more optimistic for Jupiter about where Turkey will be quickly. I just think if we work together, we can really make a big difference at an absolutely critical moment. And remember Detroit, that's not a good choice. And we don't have 50 years. We really have to make this happen now. Others will have a lost generation, and when you fall behind, when something's going this quickly, it's fall behind for a really long time. The other side moving ahead is really good.